Oh, great. Hey, what's up? Yeah, you made it. You did it. Yeah, I figured I would come on a little bit later and do an info session a little later today. So, because I normally do them earlier and whatnot. I'm gonna move. My background looks crazy. Looks like I'm in some hostage shelter somewhere. Oh my gosh. How's your day? How's everybody's day going? How's everybody's days went? My day is almost done. I'm getting tired now. Welcome to the Intro to Holistic Medicine Spring Session Info Session. I am hopping on Dr. Steele. Very cool. Doing early research, education. Sweet. Love it. So this is an info session about my upcoming class for the spring semester for Hillman Talk University. Intro to Holistic Medicine. So this is a 12-week course delivered in 3 parts. So the first part is the foundations, where we really break down therapeutic practice, therapeutic order rather, scientific process, a little bit about just the structure of how holistic medicine works, that sort of thing, the 6 different areas that we look at. And then we look at subjective and objective data. So subjective data is what we think, feel, the nuance of a particular study. We're going to use one questionnaire to assess that, and then we're going to also assess objective data. So that's something outside of me, something outside of you that we can assess and then measure and track to see if we're actually, achieving the results that we're looking for. So we're looking for 3 metrics in this particular class. We're looking at urinary pH, salivary pH, and heart rate. So your salivary pH looks at digestion. So common things are like acid reflux, difficulty digesting proteins, burping, gas, constipation, bloating, irritation within the GI tract, that sort of thing. Also, too, we'll look at urinary pH, so that's going to look at oxidative stress. The kidneys are it's a primary filter, but it's secondary to the liver, so it assists the liver infiltration. So we'll get a good assessment on antioxidant level. And then heart rate, we're going to look at your stress response. And we'll be able to kind of use that heart rate monitor as a biofeedback tool. Bio meaning body, feedback meaning receiving feedback from. And so as we're doing that, we're going to work on lowering and raising our heart rate and practicing that. So those are our kind of foundational natural health care sciences, the data part of it. And then the second part, we're going to start to apply what we call modalities. And so treatment modalities are pretty much tools that we pull out of our tool bag to assist. So let's say if our salivary pH came back at like a 5.7, right, which is incredibly acidic. So this patient, let's say, has indigestion, heartburn, and maybe they have a really bad diet, high processed diet, high fat diet, high sugar diet, and they're really, really stressed. So they're driving acidity and then eating things that naturally their body's not gonna function well. So they're going nutrient depleted, and it's slowing metabolic function. So we see that 5.7 or whatnot, and so now we know that we can give them more of an alkaline-based diet. We need to give them more greens, chlorella, spirulina, that sort of thing, and really rebuild that up. We may even give them a little bit of hydrochloric acid with some different plant-based enzymes to help digest. We also may prescribe or recommend juicing for that, and definitely lots of hydration. That upper GI, we know, thrives off of minerals, so we may even look at some bentophthiamine, which is thiamine, which is one. Now, this is what a holistic doctor would do naturally at the level to which I'm teaching you. We start slow, we start basic, we start with the easy stuff. And so beginning with our nutrition and looking at nutrition structures, how we structure nutrition, your proteins, your fats, your carbohydrates, those sorts of things. So I'll teach you that. And then we'll go into the use of mindfulness techniques, different types of meditation practice, active, passive, that sort of thing, and how we utilize them, and then the scientific basis behind them. And then we'll look at physical movement and how we can use physical movement to our advantage, again, to raise and lower a lot of these metrics that we're looking at. And then finally, we will touch into natural remedies. So like I kind of spouted off to you, we'll get deeper into what we call the mechanisms of action, which are, what chemically those actual, nutrients are doing. So all things that you take, whether it be, medications or even natural things, have what we call mechanisms of action. And so those mechanisms of action are how it's working in the body. So we can mimic pretty much most mechanism of action from a pharmacological agent using a natural form. You just have to know what you're doing, and you got to get the chemistries right. So a lot of fun though. Yay. So we'll teach you all that if you want to learn it. Naturally, Intro to Holistic Medicine, there's no prerequisites for this class, so it is an entry-level class. Anybody can participate, so whether you are a health seeker or you are an enthusiast, mental health professional, hey, or a medical professional, nurse practitioner, that sort of thing. We have a lot of those. I've treated a lot of those, and also trained a lot of them too. We also, let's see, who else would, also somebody that's looking to go into this as a profession and as a career. You will get a certificate afterward. It's not a certificate strong enough to, let's say, go practice, and open up a shingle and all that kind of stuff. But it does allow you to qualify for holistic health coaching certification, which is a year-long certification, which is there's a national certification at the end. So that's a year-long program. So we can have conversations after that, after we get past this first course. This particular course, again, is 12 weeks, so it's 3 months total. It's $39 a month technology fee, and that's to cover the app, the course shell, that sort of thing. So we have a course shell that we house everything on. We record it live Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we record them live. However, after they are recorded live, they will no longer be available to the public. They will be in the course shell as a replay. So you'll be able to do that, as well as access the discussions and access the actual assignments. So there is a Wellness Collective group that you will have access to, and it will kind of start you through that journey and that process of self-discovery and self-healing, because as practitioners, you have to actually do the work yourself. Physician, heal thyself. So we'll do that. And so we'll work through that. There's no kind of, order to do it in, but there's an order, but, it's going to take some time to work through different areas. And there's some traits that, maybe you'll work a little bit more here or there. It just depends on the person. There's a lot of content to not sift and sort through, because I've organized it for you. But, I've been doing this for a long time. A little bit about me and my background. I'm a board certified naturopathic doctor. I hold 7 degrees in my field, all in the natural healthcare space. I always like to say that I went to school so people don't have to. But I really love teaching people, and I've done it professionally for a long, long time. And yeah, I just really am excited about teaching and really, inspiring the new generation of holistic health practitioners. We definitely need a lot of new practitioners in the field, and especially practitioners that have either Afro and or Afro-Indigenous background, simply because that's really what's missing in our field. There's ironically a lot of people in the field per se, but not necessarily people that are doing it for the greatest intention. So I had the interest to watch RFK's confirmation hearing all day And, it's interesting. So we bring out a lot of information, right? And then what do we do with that information? And what's the solution, right? And so we're reaching a pinnacle where, technology and healthcare are beginning to merge. And one of the things that I learned in my MBA was that really out of all the industries, healthcare was missing innovation the most, right? And why is that? Because there's these big, conglomerate systems that, are controlling our healthcare, our healthcare cost, et cetera. But not to mention even that the entire structure of the system is really not working. Chronic disease is driving the cost, mostly the cost. So, and administrative costs are about 40% of total cost in healthcare. So it's not necessarily, the acute care things or the pandemics or, the breakouts or any of those things. It's chronic disease, which is lifestyle modifiable factors. And we have health access issues. But when we're even looking at health access and health access issues, we're looking at it from insurance, right? So in having insurance or not having insurance does not necessarily determine health, right? And the absence of disease or symptom is not a determiner of health. Health is actually a state that has to be created. Well, most people are not even conscious that health is a state, let alone something that they're responsible for. Most of the time, people just ignore, repress, deny, avoid, not deal, and then all of a sudden, boom, this happened out of nowhere. I have no idea what happened. Even though I've been, drinking every night and eating whatever and not getting enough sleep and, running around and, kicking the dog and beating the child and whatever. I don't know why I'd have the heart attack. This makes no sense. But the reality is sometimes it takes certain people to hit these brick walls to make a change. Hey, Tata Kisses. I hope, though, that we as human beings don't need to continue to do that. I'm hoping that we can wake up and realize that we ultimately have personal responsibility in our own health and well-being. No one is going to come and save us, not one human being. As much as we want somebody to come and save us, I know me, I want my money back from Disney because I was sold so many lies. I was waiting, where's the Prince Charming? Where is, the horse and stuff, the slippers, the birds that and the what is it? The squirrels and stuff that are supposed to do my laundry. I feel so gypped. So now that we realize that it's us ultimately that have to save ourselves, we first have to recognize what it is we need to do. And so that's really kind of what I've designed, is a really easy way for us to kind of almost have a checklist, of sorts of how we can either get well or maintain our health. So, hey, I don't know how you say your name. Sokini? I don't know. I have no idea. Hello, good night, bonsoir. So we're just sitting up and chatting about holistic medicine. This is our info session for Intro to Holistic Medicine for Hillman Talk University. If you are interested in taking this class, I would love to have you. We are still receiving registrations. If you're interested in the class, there is a link in the bio, and then it will go to a landing page, and then at the bottom there's a little registration link. In the registration link, then it will pop up with a form. You just fill the form out and then hit the submit button, and then it should pop up something, kind of a message that tells you it's going to send you an email. Make sure you check your spam, because sometimes with the securities it goes to the spam. If you have filled out that form prior to me going live this evening, you should already have the email. Again, check your spam. Just for some of the securities, our emails get filtered to spam. So if you didn't receive it, shoot me a DM, whatever. If you have a pending DM, I haven't looked at my DMs yet, I'll look at it afterwards. It's not actually on Zoom. We're recording them live in this format, so everybody will be able to actually see the class. However, if you want the replay and also all the other course materials, that's where it's a paid thing. Yeah, definitely check your email and check your spam, because sometimes it goes to the spam. So yay, super exciting. Yeah, so the class, like I said, it's 12 weeks. So that second 12-week, that second 4-week block, if you will, we're going over the modalities. Remember, modalities are just treatment tools that we use to modify the data up or down. And then the last part is case integration. We talk about, next steps, what you want to do, if you want to move forward, what you're aspiring to. Some people, take this class for CU credits, or sometimes they'll take them because they're just, maybe they're like a nurse or a medical doctor or something like that, and they're interested in kind of understanding a little bit more about holistic medicine, so that they can be better informed when their patients come in. So all kinds of different things. So I have an illustrious long career. If anybody's interested in it, you can ask questions in the chat. Otherwise, I'm not going to go long-winded into all of it, because I've done a lot. So there's not a whole lot that I haven't done in the holistic healthcare space. I've been in it for over 20 years at this point. So yeah. Hey. Yeah, I figured I would jump on for the Pacific Standard Time folks, but then also, for some of the later nighters too, and see what's going on. Yeah, it's been such a long day. A lot going on. Up, down, all around. So many things happening all at once. Trying to get everything accomplished. Oh, okay, so here's what we can talk about. All right, so for those of you who attended my morning flow class in the morning, so in the morning, Monday through Friday at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I teach a morning flow class, right? And so morning flow is a 4-part class. It's 15 minutes each part. First part is movement. Second part is meditation. I love the balloons. Thank you, whoever sent those. I love the balloons. Third set is the journaling, and then the fourth set is planning our day. So the thought process, or the consciousness of this, is, we open up, we begin our day with a little bit of movement, because we've been in bed. We need to get the synovial fluid going and just kind of prepare our day. Then we move into a meditation practice, right, where we set the tone for the day. Right now we're working on a prosperity meditation. I think we're at day 4 of our prosperity. Also, if you got the email, it should have the prosperity meditation already in the email, so you can, start doing it yourself at home. It also has the journal prompt, which is the next thing. So we kind of build up this energy, this Kundalini energy within us, and then we journal, who am I, right? So we start to begin to create who it is we want to be, right? So each and every day we get to choose, who am I, right? And we get to choose, who am I and who am I being, right, in any given moment. So we get to choose that, and we're going to choose that consciously. And then with that choice, then we plan our day from that space, right? So we may shift it every single day if we need to, or if we need to build more internal consistency or resilience around something, then we'll kind of keep working with the same energy. So we're working with prosperity, we're working with abundance, we're working with expansion for the next 45 days, especially as, we draw people into the space that we're working in. It really, the more people that we, are working with, actually, the more enriching it becomes, because then we can really do these fun kind of like pair shared and group activities and that sort of fun. So I have lots of years of experience in curriculum writing and as a professor. In fact, some of my students are running around this app. And so I like to really think outside of the box and really, encourage you guys to think outside of the box. Holistic medicine is a very complex world. And so you really can't think linearly. You really can't think in a very basic level, because if you do, it's reductionist. You're going to limit possibilities. So If you're a why person, if you always want to figure out why, this is definitely a fun profession to be in, because that why will only sometimes be satisfied, and when it does, it's sweet. So, all right. So let's talk. So your question is, okay. So somebody asked about they struggle with depression, and this is what they said exactly. I struggle with depression and interested in your feelings about it. Thank you, Erica. Okay, so first things first, right? So I don't have a feeling about your depression, right? Because I'm detached from your feeling of depression, right? So I struggle with, right? So you're going back and forth. You haven't decided if you're going to let it go or if you're not going to let it go, right? Depression typically is anger turned inward, right? So it's anger unexpressed, so lack of communication, which leads to frustration, which leads to anger, lack of forgiveness in self and others, which creates resentment, right? So we've turned that inward, right? So we ask ourselves, what is it we need to say? What is it we're repressing that we haven't said to ourselves or others? So I'll let you sit with that for a moment and you let me know what you come up with. All right. So if you're just joining, welcome, welcome. This is the spring info session for Intro to Holistic Medicine. My name is Dr. Erica Steele. I am a holistic doctor in family practice. I have worked all over the world, worked with shamans and healers and teachers, worked in wellness clinics, worked in medical clinics, worked in high-end spas, worked in all kinds of different settings in the clinical setting. I've owned couple wellness centers. I was a general manager also for multi kind of structured corporations. So I've done a lot of things in the world, but it's all been in the holistic health space. I haven't done anything that's not within that. So other than little things here, little hustles here and there, but other than that, good evening, bonsoir, bonsoir. Very good. Yeah. So let me kind of get into this. All right. So once you complete this particular course, right? Let's say that you wanted to continue on to the holistic health coaching program, right? So that's a year-long certification. There's several different certification bodies, and we'll look at the pros and cons of each one, just in terms of where you want to go with that. From there, my education is mainly in the we do have a lot of certificates and things like that, so different certificates and different types of practices, like nutrition and things like that. But really, it's building up to more of that graduate level. So I work with several modalities, so integrative and functional medicine, so that's more kind of laboratory diagnostics. Also to oh, thank you. I love the balloons. I love the balloons so much. And then the second one is, naturopathy and obviously holistic medicine. And then also there's a indigenous and spiritual medicine as well, because I do a lot of work with plant medicines and can really train you in all of those things. But those are deeper level trainings. It really takes time, and you have to be attuned to these things and, that sort of thing. So, okay, so our caller came back with more info. All right, so they say, I do understand what you're saying about anger turns into depression when not expressed. I will focus on working with my anger. Thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna break this part down. All right, so we don't want to focus on, because whatever we focus on is going to do what? Expand, right? We don't want to work on anger, because working is an effort, right? You're efforting, right? And your anger, right? Your anger is actually it's a reaction, right? So where's the reaction? Fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. So on some level, you're defending yourself, right? On some level, you don't feel safe. So we don't want to work on not feeling safe, which is causing the trigger. We want to recognize what makes us not feel safe to begin with. Does that make sense? Yeah. Oh, look at that. Mazel tov. I got a tip. Thank you so much. Let's see. I work on Saturdays. Oh, yes. If you are registered in the class, there will be, the replay will be in the course shell. So yeah, you'll be able to have it as long as you're registered. If you're not registered, then you won't see the live. But if you don't see the live, then that kind of thing. But if you're registered, you'll get it. So make sure you're registered. So yay! Registration link is in there. Perfect. Hey Troy, how are you? We've been meaning to catch up. I know. Like 2 ships in the night. Yes. I'm so glad. I'm so glad that helps. Yeah, it's interesting. So part of my training is in clinical hypnotherapy, neuro-linguistic programming, and conscious communication, right? And when you use these 3 modalities together, it's really very magical, quite frankly. And so really, what we're doing is, and there's several different techniques and methodologies, and that's not what this class is about, but when we really start getting in and asking ourselves these questions, right, and really challenging the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, because really the subconscious mind, so there's 3 different aspects of the mind, and I have done whole trainings on this before. So there's the primitive mind, which regulates just two major emotions, love or fear, that's it, right? And then we have our subconscious, which is pretty much our storage cabinet. It's our filing cabinet, right? Remembers everything that we've done in the past. And then we have our conscious mind, or our ego, which is pretty much our security guard, right? Now, all 3 of these have to coexist together, right? Which we already know. It's very difficult to coexist. So you've got the primitive mind that is just reacting nervously to everything because it's thinking it's being attacked. You've got the subconscious, which is remembering everything and storing everything like it's an elephant sort of thing. And then it's relaying messages to the conscious mind, which is not fully functioning simply because the amygdala is in a hyperfunction and that prefrontal cortex is shut down. And so it's frustrating, right? And then the body is reacting to all of this mental and emotional turmoil. So there's just a lot of incongruence that really occurs. So really we want to start challenging what we're saying and what we're thinking, because remember, in the beginning there was the Word, and the Word was what? It was God. So we are God. Be still and know what? I am God. And we are not the God, but we are part of, right, co-creator. And so if we stop focusing so much on what's in the current reality, right? Because goodness gracious, it's looking kind of bleak, right? And we focus back in on ourselves and we focus on what we really want, but really truly get honest with ourselves, and sometimes for the very first time. I know through COVID, a lot of people, it forced people to sit and look who were not used to sitting and looking at themselves. And so this is a really good time to, heal and reflect and go inward. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it. So do you guys have any other questions for me? There is a link in the bio. I did record a video earlier that it's there's also under YouTube and TikTok, there is a playlist. It says Intro to Holistic Medicine. So when I record notices or announcements or stuff like that, there are videos right underneath there. So there's 2 so far. There's one, I think, that kind of goes over the course, all the to-dos. It's about 3 to 5 hours of coursework. We probably more on the 5 hours, maybe even 7, but no higher than that per week for course load work. So it kind of goes over that, materials and stuff like that. I'll talk about that in a minute. And then there's another video on like how to register and like where to click the link and what it looks like, and it just kind of walks you through because people were having some questions about that. I fixed it today. I resent out registration emails, right? And so if you haven't got one by now, check your spam first or reach out to me, because I sent them all of the ones that had been submitted before I went live, and then I set the automation so that they should automatically go out now to everybody that submits the form. So thank you so much for being patient as I make sure all these things are set up properly. It's very tedious. So, and there's a lot of little things that you get proper, right? Okay, so a question is, psychosis is permanent. So, okay, so, right? So here, let's look at the structure to which these, diagnoses, right? Let's talk about a diagnosis. A diagnosis is nothing more than educated guess. It's a sophisticated labeling system, right? What do we know about human beings? Human beings are typically not similar, right? So we're moving into an age of more personalized medicine where we're looking at all of the health data on the person, right? So sometimes things can be diagnosed or misdiagnosed or labeled or mislabeled the incorrect thing, right? And also too, based off of nutrient deficiencies, accumulated toxins, heavy metals, all, methylation pathways, genetics, epigenetics, systemic racism, all kinds of different challenges that impact complex trauma, high ACE scores, all of these things the mind sometimes really cannot handle. When I went through family constellation training, the original kind of, organizer of it was a psychologist, and a German psychologist, in fact, and so looked at schizophrenia as a for instance, right? So whereas in the psych world, schizophrenia is looked at, as a disorder, and they diagnose and manage it and all of those things. But in family constellation, we were determined that, and family constellation is an energy medicine, by the way. It's not, and it uses family systems, so it's not like a hard science, right? It's more of a bioenergetic science. So anyway, where we looked at it is that, when there was, let's say, genocide, right, in a family line, those souls are kind of missing from the line, right? It's missing from the natural order because they were taken. Well, as we look at generation, and as they're passed down, future generations kind of feel the impact or feel the brunt of previous generations that haven't healed, right? So what we saw is that sometimes that the child would now take on the quote unquote missing of either their parent or grandparent or whoever passed away. It would be like a weight on them, and so that would in its stead would create kind of psychoses or kind of schizo symptoms. Now again, this is for educational purposes only. This is not, please, consult. I had one case in particular. This case is unique in this. This particular case came to me and kind of had developed like a failure to thrive, had been through a divorce, kind of had, lost their job, that sort of thing. And their dad, and she was an adult, probably in her early 30s, and her dad brought her to me just because, she was kind of depressed and low, just real, like, melancholy and just lack of motivation. So, she came in and we started working and kind of following a process, and I follow a process when I work because I'm dealing with multiple variables, so I have to keep things organized, otherwise it'll turn into, a mess. So working with her, and we'll come to find out, she had lost her mother when she was really young, right? She lost her mother, I think, when she was around like 2 or 3, whatever. And her mother was almost like her best friend, and so that missing, right? And so we then, turn the attention away from, let's say, your standard supplements and diet and all that stuff, and really turned it towards teaching her self-nurturance and teaching her self-acceptance and really teaching her how to build that, that missing, right? And be able to connect with, her mother's energy and really be able to to process and grieve that, right? Well, after we went through that, and it took a lot of time, it wasn't like a fast process, but, after we got through that, she was stable, and not needing all the things, right? And so, we don't really know because we're in this colonized, westernized healthcare system that restricts innovation, that profits off of sickness, that profits off of a lack of education, that profits off of you not understanding your body and not trusting anybody outside of the system to tell you otherwise, right? And it's not a health influencer that's going to help you get there. It's not a book that's going to help you get there. It's not a YouTube video or some, supplement scheme. It's really you disciplining your mind and deciding what it is you want first and foremost. When I started in family practice, I thought, most people would eat relatively healthy, right? Oh my gosh, I learned whoa. I mean, the level of unhealth and dis-ease, and then when I would peel back those layers of the food, it was rarely even the food, it was convenience. I'm stressed out. I don't have any time. I don't have any money. I don't know what to eat. I don't know how to eat. I'm scared to eat. Whenever I eat, this happens. Whenever I eat, this doesn't happen. All these kinds of things, and so it creates a really difficult relationship with our food and nourishment simply because our food supply is tainted, our air, our water, our food, etc., right? And so we're expected to now bring those, nutrients into our bodies, and it creates damage, and then it slows down digestion, which of course impacts the hormonal system, the immune system, the nervous system, affects our gallbladder, our liver, our kidneys, all these really vital organs that it really affects metabolically. And so all diseases begin and end from breakdowns in the metabolism. You don't believe me? Go look it up. It's true. They wrote whole textbooks on it. So they understand causative, right? It's just they don't care, right? They wait until, you're sick and desperate. And then they rush in with little buggies, ready to, take you away. So now is the time to become educated. Now is the time to become your own doctor. Now is the time to really make a change from the conventional healthcare system because it's deeply flawed and heavily dangerous. So definitely be careful out there, for sure. Oh my goodness, any other questions? Late night to be talking. Normally I'm not talking this much. I guess sometimes, if I'm on a panel or something. Who knows? Yay. So, yeah, it's good stuff. Yeah, holistic medicine is amazing. It's taken me to some pretty awesome places, seen some pretty awesome things, experienced some pretty incredible healing practices, met some really good people, wow, salt of the earth, met some really bad people too, met some cult leaders, kind of rubbed elbows with a few cults, there's a lot out there in the holistic space. You got to be careful. You got to know who you are. We typically, we start practice with you really dissecting and understanding your core values. It's important to know where your lines begin and end in clinical practice, because if you don't know yourself, it gets dangerous, right? And why does it get dangerous? It gets dangerous because then there's transference. You're transferring stuff back and forth. There's inappropriate boundaries. There's breakdowns in clinical structure. There's bias. There's all these things that occur that impact the healthcare relationship, right? So in order to create that structure, we use a psychoanalytic theory where what we do is we kind of put the subject matter in a container, right? We're over here and they're over here, right? We separate ourselves from our subject matter, because we don't want that, that space to be there, because we want to be able to observe. We want to be far enough away from them where we reflect that their behavior is nothing more of a reflection of how they feel about themselves, has nothing to do with me personally, right? And that's how we can pull ourselves away from those experiences and become less triggered, right? Does that make sense? So we use those kinds of techniques. We also use motivational interviewing, which we'll talk about in the first week. And it's just a way to communicate. It's a way to investigate, and it's just a way to understand and really have a dialogue with your patient that's professional, clinical, and also result driven. So question, what was the moment you decided to become a doctor, and why, please? Okay, so I have a very unique story. I always knew I was going to be a doctor from an early age. My mother was a cancer researcher in NIH. She had a psych break when I was about 8 years old. Before that, I would run around labs with her. I would go to organic chemistry classes. In fact, there's like a really funny story about, we're in organic chem one time, and I raised my hand to answer a question, and the professor called on me, and I answered the question, and they were like, ah, like they were all crazed or whatever. I am a writing prodigy. So I was tested pretty early on, and then was, put in this, acquiesced into this special education where they, teach you all this stuff to become these new world leaders or whatever. And so being surrounded by medicine and healthcare and some of the most brilliant minds, and then also kind of watching my mother kind of, deteriorate in front of my very eyes, and then also watching, the healthcare system not really have those options available to assist. It was actually a psychologist who encouraged my mother to go back to her original roots, go back to her Afro-Indigenous roots as a way for her to find her healing. So we go from now running around labs to now we're going to, sweat lodges and Vision Quest and, Reiki attunements and all this other, this whole other world. So I grew up really under the age of 12, knowing that there was a world that you could prove or disprove. There's a science, but there was also this world that you couldn't necessarily prove or disprove, but it worked. And so my real great mission has been really bridging the gap between these two worlds. And, I've seen the inefficiencies. I was the cleanup crew of medicine for 15 years. I still am on some level, but on a higher level now than where I was then, So, but I've heard all the stories when patients are gaslit, when patients are injured, when patients are hurt, when they're in malpractice suits with hospitals, or, those are the patients that I see, the patients that have been to every specialist underneath the sun, that have gotten no answers, that constantly have thousands of dollars worth of tests but still are not told, or been to natural doctors and had thousands of supplements thrown at them and still with no answers. So I mean, I've seen over 40,000 patients in general family. So yeah, that's kind of was the beginning. And then so I have a whole Lifetime television movie, so I'll try to break it up into important parts. I ended up leaving my advanced studies diploma because I pretty much just said F it all. And then I ended up disenrolling out of school, and then I enrolled myself in massage school at 16 so I could have a good job for when I went to college. So I then became a massage therapist and kept going back to school, and 7 degrees later, here we are. It's been a wild ride, let me tell you. So I've had a lot of fun. So hopefully that answered your question. So I don't know if it would be one moment, but I always knew, and even when you connect with people from Facebook and stuff, they're like, oh my God, you did it. I'm like, yeah, so, it was kind of always a thing. I don't think it's never something separate from myself. It's always just been who I am. Yeah. So, and with that being said, if you are a healer, so here are here's some signs to know if you are a healer or not, okay? Here we go. So random people come up to you, random people talk to you, animals are drawn to you, right? These are all signs, right? You're a dreamer. When you go to sleep, you dream, and it's just vivid and beautiful. Like these are all things, right? That really help you to see, wait a second. You feel things, you hear things, you see things that are there. You intuit things, right? We all have these abilities. We just have to cultivate them. They're just like muscles, we just have to keep them going, and as we do that, they get better and better and better. And really, it's more so about, having a fear of ourselves, and having a fear of our worth, and having a fear of what we deserve, and just a lot of fears that we must unpack. So, yeah, we're working it out. I'm excited. Yay. Yay, I'm so glad you dug this story. Yeah, I wrote about it on my website as well. I have like a lot of years of content. I don't know if any of you guys have Googled my name, but I have lots of years of content from years of being on TV. So lots of videos to watch, lots of videos on my YouTube, lots of blogs. Like I've done some really good blogs over the years on my main website. I also have a few podcasts as well. So different podcast perspectives you can listen to. I have an email list that goes out. So just a lot of, our community as well that I'm building and growing. So just a lot. I have a lot of, just a lot of things, like a lot of years worth of study and, a lot of sharing and a lot of education. I've done a lot of patient education over the years. So it's been really fun. I've had a good time for sure. Learned a lot, met a lot of people. Yeah, for sure. That circadian rhythm, boy, kicks in like a champ every time. I love how the body is so, it responds so much, and as long as know what the body is telling you. I think one of the things with holistic medicine that also makes it unique is it really teaches you as a patient. It teaches you, what your body's signals are and what your body is telling you, right? And so many times we, disassociate, and nobody tells us, nobody teaches us. Like one of the things that, for instance, is our blood sugar, right? If your blood sugar drops and you go into a hypoglycemic state, meaning you're missing amino acids, your anxiety goes up, right? And so dropping those amino acids and dropping that glucose is not a good thing, but we're not taught to keep our blood sugar stable, right? In fact, we're told to self-abandon, right? Not prioritize ourselves and work, skip lunch, eat at our desk, if we eat at all, eat something high fat, high sugar, high sodium, right? Slow our digestion down, right? The list goes on and on and on. It's a very toxic cycle, and sometimes I think it's easy to slip into the state of powerlessness, helplessness, hopelessness, fear, oh my gosh, burden, what's going to happen? But I think if we are brave enough to acknowledge it first and foremost, and then accept it, and then slowly, as it feels more comfortable and safe, allowing it to fall away from us, right? So that we don't have it anymore, right? But it is a process of letting go. We can't just, Maria Antoinette. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, definitely. My intelligence, I think, has got me pretty far in life. I think my pretty privilege has got me pretty far in life too. I think those two things have, I don't know. I think they've gotten me far, and they've also pissed a lot of people off all at the same time. So I think it's been a pretty dynamic experience so far. Yeah, and I live down here in St. Lucia. Eventually, if a person wanted to kind of, continue on into doctorate level, my doctorate level programs are hybrid programs where you would come down here a couple times during the 4-year term. So it's like, in the second and the fourth term, you come down for like a week or two. And so you can really see how natural things are cultivated and grown, like soursop and sea moss and noni, which all grow here naturally. And then get to learn, about bush medicines and natural plant medicines and obviously healing medicines and what we do with them and how we cultivate them and how we create ceremonies and all kinds of stuff. So all of that is a part of, again, the doctorate level because you need the clinical hands-on experience. I did a lot of hybrid training in my program as well. I very rarely did brick and mortars because I was a single mom and I worked a lot, and I also was really intelligent and I got really good scores on things, and I negotiated and navigated and did a lot of things. And here's another thing. So if you don't have a bachelor's degree and you want one, we kind of have figured out pretty inexpensive ways at this point to get regionally and nationally accredited education. So if you're interested in, receiving your education and not paying billions and billions and quadrillions of dollars, let me know. So, yeah, I love standardized education and structured education. So you'll find like the class, I try to keep it structured and organized. It's not perfect for sure, but I really like to keep it where, we have a flow and it's progressive. That way it's a nice container and it's safe and everybody feels good and all that stuff. What was the item you said grows along with noni? Oh, soursop. Yeah, oh my gosh, so yummy. So it's like this like fat kind of spiky plant green. And then so we make kind of like a smoothie out of it. It's kind of too thick to be a juice, but it's definitely like a smoothie. It's so yummy. It's so refreshing and cool. And even the coconuts, right? So, they sell coconuts by the side of the road and open them up and all of the electrolytes and then, all of that nutrients of the jelly on the inside. It's just so yummy. Sorry, I live in an open air house as well, and like, I feel like I'm living with the wildlife half the time. The ants are coming. Oh, just soursop in general. Soursop, and then I talked about noni. What did you say? What was that? Hold on. Yeah, soursop. Yeah, so soursop is like an antioxidant. So antioxidants help fight oxidative stress and free radical damage. It's kind of similar to a noni. It's kind of in the similar family, or like mangosteen. It's kind of in that same family. I'm not sure what the ORAC score is. The ORAC score is like the antioxidant score, but I would imagine it's pretty high up there. It's probably like mid-high. So yeah, so we make it into smoothies and stuff like that. It's soursop. So yeah, yes, exactly. Yeah, you spelled it right. You're good. Yeah, and if you Google it, it's very well popular. We're very well known. People know what it is. And then the bush medicines and things like that, which are herbs that we make into teas and that sort of thing. Again, that part is definitely more of my husband's vibe. I'm not into the bush medicines as much. I like my life. Sometimes he gets himself into some pretty interesting predicaments. Let me just state that. So, no, the 12-week course. All this is info sessions this week. I'm trying to host 2 info sessions a day along with my morning flow. And so Sunday, there's a playlist on my TikTok and my YouTube channel. If you go to that, there's some, videos on there. So every week on Sunday, I will post the assignments for the week. Then the class officially starts on Monday, and then we'll have the live lecture on Wednesday. Everything will be in the course shell, so it'll break everything down for you. There are supplies for this class. I will mention that. There are supplies for this class. There is pH strips, which that's about $10. You can get either on Amazon or your drug store. I did send you an email out about this if you've registered. So, also a heart rate monitor. We'll talk about those in the first week. You don't need them the first week, really. You need them oh my God, I love these balloons. Whoever sends those balloons, thank you. I love those things. So we'll talk about the heart rate monitor or whatever. I feel like such a kid when those balloons come up. I don't know. So, so fun. So there's I know. Maybe it's like Chuck E. Cheese. You know what? I really don't even like Chuck E. Cheese. I can't even, the sensory, but oh my gosh, I don't know. It makes me happy whenever the balloons come on the screen. Okay, anyway, I amuse myself, honestly. I entertain myself all the time. Okay, so heart rate monitor, which we'll talk about the different options. Hey! So we'll talk about that. And then there's the technology fee, which is $39 per month for the 3 months. And that covers all your apps and stuff, because there's a couple apps you'll be using. One with your course shell in it, and then the other one for your health data and your monitoring and tracking all that. It's not really like a reading heavy class, but there will be stuff that you will need to do, like assignments and whatnot. So so we'll do that. I also teach a morning flow class Monday through Friday at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that class is designed to just kind of get you in flow, set the tone for your day. It's 15 minutes of movement, 15 minutes of meditation, 15 minutes of journaling, and 15 minutes of setting the intention for your day. So we're starting to work with this meditation of a prosperity meditation. And then we are working with the journal prompt, Who Am I? And that's really setting an intention to who it is we want to create every single day. And then from there, we take that person, that who we be or who we am, into creating our day, prioritizing ourselves first, and then organizing our schedule so that our nervous system is optimized, our mind, body, and spirit is optimized. So that's morning flow. That class is designed by moi. So, but I have taken similar things, but not to the degree that I do them in. So I always do everything like on fleet, because I'm an overachiever. So, yay. Any other questions? Not to worry. This week is just kind of like, everybody's like figuring out what they're doing, where they're going, what's happening, gather themselves, and then, make a decision as to whether they want to attend this class or not. So I would be adored to have you. I love teaching. It's one of the greatest joys that I have, really, because I get to share, I get to express things that I've learned from many, many years. So there's a link in the bio, and then you'll scroll down in the link, and then it says register to Intro to Holistic Medicine. If you get confused, there is a video I just posted not too long ago, and it walks you through the process with visuals. And if that all else fails, you're like, I just cannot figure it out, go ahead and shoot me a DM and I can send you a direct link. I'm working on a landing page right now. I thought I would be done with it, but I'm kind of, I don't know, I'm being a little fickle with it, so I should have it done by tomorrow. Yay. It's been a pretty good day, though. Nice and relaxed. Tomorrow I have to go to town, and that's always like a thing, because I live at the top of this hill. So I have to walk down and up every single time. It's very humbling, let me tell you. It's real life, and deconstruction of American nationalism. For sure. But it's well worth it. I left the States in 2023, and it was one of the best decisions I made for myself, for sure. Just going in and out and going back and forth. It was like more and more and more that I was going. It was a lot. Yay! Oh, blessed high rising to you. Definitely. Blessed love. Enjoy your evening. Bonsoir. Ah, so nice. It's such a different vibe. Oh, okay, here, let me tell you about evening flow. So here's how evening flow works. So I told you about morning flow. Now, I'm not doing an evening flow class, so bear with me. But I'll tell you how evening flow goes. The reason I don't like to do evening flow is because it's just a different vibe. I like to be more vibrant in the morning, setting the tone, setting the intention, all the things. Evening flow is a totally different kind. It's more of a like a restorative kind of yoga. It like gets you ready for bed. It gets you ready to, you're closing out your day. You're, sending your gratitudes. There's like these cash out processes you can do. You're pretty much just unwinding from the day and leaving that day in the day, right? Which is totally fine, but it's definitely more of like a relaxing to go to sleep class. And I love teaching the classes where it's like, yay, excitement, 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 up, up, up. I mean, don't get me wrong. I teach many types of classes, but that's the vibe for evening. So when you get into the wellness, the course shell, there's a little extra course of Wellness Collective. And a part of that is, really structuring your day. That part is really important. You would be really amazed at how just doing these simple things like restructuring your day has such a huge impact on your nervous system. I mean, it's huge. Because it helps set your circadian rhythm. Your circadian rhythm really goes, oh, okay, I'm safe now. It doesn't want to dysregulate you mentally or emotionally or spiritually. So that's good. Any other questions? I usually try to be on for about an hour, so I've passed about an hour, so I'll probably be on for about another 10 minutes and yapping away. So let me know if you guys have any questions for me. I'm happy to answer any of them. Again, if you've already registered, you should have an email in your email box from here on out, because I set the automations and all that kind of stuff. Please check your spam because of some of the securities, our emails a lot of times just go to spam. So check your spam first, and then if that doesn't work, please reach out. And we'll get it to you. There's lots of little ecosystems within my health tech company, so bear with me as I kind of move you guys around in these different little spaces that you're in, these little safe spaces that I put you in, so you don't bump around on too many things. Cool. It's been really fun getting to know everybody and being on panels, and I haven't been on TikTok for very long. I think I've only been on TikTok for like I don't know, maybe a couple years at tops, maybe a year and a half. Definitely not a long time. And then I was never really like super consistent with going live because all my back-end infrastructure was such a mess. So I was like, I'm not doing it. I'm not stressing people out. I'm not stressing myself out. I'm not doing it. You can't make me. So I'm super excited. Definitely hope I see you guys for the last morning flow of the week. And that'll be tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. bright and early. So that's why I'll be jumping off so I can just kind of relax and wind down myself, because I have to wake up a little bit early. I wake up about an hour earlier to do my own kind of pre-preparation before I work with y'all, so I'm nice and clear and ready and stable for the day. Yeah, so I'm super excited. It's going to be really fun, and we're going to learn a lot of stuff about ourselves and learn a lot of stuff about each other, and it's just a good time. So definitely look out for more content. I really didn't record any extra content for this week just because of, the extra lives. So I'll definitely get some more. I do have some other recorded content that I need to post from before, so maybe I'll do that, so it'll be new content to you, not necessarily new to me though. Yay. All right, cool. Well, I think I'm going to jump off now. If there's no other questions, definitely register in the link in my bio. If you didn't get the email, let me know. I'll be on I'll definitely be on at 6 a.m. for Morning Flow tomorrow. And then I'll be on again probably later in the afternoon because I got some things to do. Okay. Okay. So when you say vicarious trauma, can you elaborate? Yeah, like what's the nature of it? Now, I would say most trauma of any sort typically does have an impact on the nervous system. Oh, you mean okay. Why would you classify it as that? Hold on. Because trauma, of course, is going to be caused by others. Let me see if I'm missing something. Sorry, that writing prodigy is not always helpful. Hold on, I'll be right back. All right. All right, I'm back. I had to look something up. Okay, so yes, of course, any kind of trauma is going to create potential structural issues. And then we also don't know what the state of the person was to begin with, because there's one thing is structure and then the other thing is physiology. So we put structure and function together, right? So we know functionally there's things going on, but we don't know if structurally there's things going on. So we ask ourselves, what do we think? What do we know? What can we prove? In order to be able to look at it objectively, what do we think? What do we know? What can we prove? Because we don't want to assume that what we think is what we know, because what we think, if we can't prove it, then we don't know it. So what do we think, what do we know, and what can we prove? We don't want to assume. Assuming's not science. That's not the scientific process. Assuming is your bias. And that's for anything. If I make a recommendation for a supplement, if I make a recommendation for a treatment, right? What type of result am I trying to achieve by recommending this treatment? Because remember, this modality, this treatment is just a tool, right? So when we talk about trauma of others, right? So let's look at it from the lens. So, all right, was there physical trauma to the brain? Was there just mental trauma? Was there emotional trauma? Is this ancestral trauma? Is this institutional trauma? Is this betrayal trauma? There's a lot of questions and nuances because the mind is going to process it all a little bit differently. Does that make sense? Let me know. All right. I'm crashing hard. All right. I'll give you 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes, and then so ask your questions. like, I think like at at a certain time, we just all turn into pumpkins. Hmm. Hmm. Yes, of course. Yeah, and it's an ongoing discussion, right? When we're playing with the structure function dynamic, right? And that's why, I fundamentally don't agree with the DSM, because a lot of it is missing objective data. It's all subjective. It's all opinion based. I mean, well educated opinion, but still opinion nonetheless. Because it's lacking and missing that objective analysis. So it's not really a strong enough. And with all of the unconscious bias and systemic racial issues that we already know to be true within the healthcare system, how can we trust the current labeling system, especially in the mental health care space? So a lot of things to consider and think about, but we'll just take it one little step at a time, one little breath at a time. So never fear, it'll be good. So, all right, Groovy. Well, I'm gonna hop off now, really, and try to do a little relax time, chill, finish my yogurt, see if there's any questions that I need to answer. Check a few patient messages that were left for me, and call it a night. And then I will see you guys bright and early, hopefully at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for morning flow. And then I'll have 1 to 2 information sessions again tomorrow and answer all your questions about Intro to Holistic Medicine. So, all right, guys.